When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine.
Hey folks, we told you we'd get back to you and tell you how to make a pizza crust. So we're going to show you how to make a pizza dough for your home enjoyment. So basically we're going to start off with 2 cups of water. Now the water is going to be warm between 85 and 110 degrees. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of yeast. Now, each of these packets is a tablespoon, if that helps you at all. So we're going to open 2 of those. Mix it right in with the water. And we're going to whisk that up just for a few seconds, get it in there good. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to add 1 cup of bread flour to start off. We're going to use more than that, but we're just going to mix 1 cup in to start things off. We'll get that mixed in just a little bit, because then we're going to add a couple of teaspoons of salt, and we're going to add 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And get that mixed up nice. Now one thing I like to do, you can do this, you don't have to do this. I like adding, you know, just a little bit of garlic in there, because garlic never hurts you, and a little bit of oregano. It's a pizza, it's Italian, let's add a little bit of garlic and a little bit of oregano into the bread crust itself. And we'll mix her on up. You can put any seasoning that you want. If you like a little bit of flavor in your bread, I mean, you can throw basil in there. Whatever floats your boat. How's that? Then we're going to add, now this recipe is going to call, depending on how you find the moisture within the dough. I'm going to add 1, 2, I'm going to add 3 more cups. Actually, I'm going to add 3.5. There we go, a little less than a half, 3.5. And I'm going to add that in there. We're going to mix that up. It calls for, about 4.5 cups of flour to get a good texture on it. And you'll play with it. You'll get comfortable with how you like it. If you like it moist, if you like it a little stretchier, you're going to add a little less flour. And we're going to get in there with our hands and mix this up a bit. And I don't know if you folks have noticed or not, but I got my Celtics shirt on because it's getting to the end of the year and it's almost playoff time. And of course, I'm from Boston, so I am a Celtic fan. And you can listen to all that BS over the years about, oh, the greatest player ever was Michael Jordan, or the greatest player ever was Magic Johnson, or the greatest player ever even was Larry Bird. Where nowadays they all talk about Kobe Bryant and they talk about LeBron. and their careers aren't done, so there's still hope for, say, LeBron. But the greatest player that ever played basketball, well, that would be Bill Russell. Because as Kobe may have one handful of rings, and as Michael Jordan may have, what, 6 fingers that he can cover, Bill Russell doesn't have enough fingers to cover all the rings that he won. So, and the people say, well, you know, he played with great players, and that's the difference between him and some of these others. Wilt Chamberlain was probably much better than him. But the funny thing about Wilt Chamberlain wasn't until Bill Russell retired before he could claim his ring. Now we got this dough almost done. Get it almost in a ball. Now that we've got it going, we're going to take and we're going to throw a little bit of flour on the counter. We're going to throw it on there. And we're just going to mix it up good and knead it a little bit. That way there we can activate the yeast that's in there. So we're going to pound it around. And one of my favorite Bill Russell stories, I have to tell you this one. It wasn't when he was a player, but when he was an announcer. And he was announcing back, I believe it was for CBS, and he was doing a game. Matter of fact, I think, well, it was a playoff game. The Celtics were in it. They're always in the playoffs. And Bill Russell was one of the announcers, and one of the other announcers was Rick Barry. And you could tell Bill Russell was not fond of Rick Barry. And Rick Barry just always tried to make these jabs at Russell about different things. Well, this particular occasion, Rick Barry, they turned to him and he was looking up at the roof of the old Boston Garden. And he said, oh my God, he said, what, did they retire every single player that ever played for this franchise? Look at all those retired jerseys up there. And then they kind of rolled it back and Bill Russell said, well, I don't think you're much of a historian, Rick. He said, because you have to understand, this building is old, old, old. And he said, because of all those banners on that side of the building, they had to retire all those numbers on the other side or the building would have collapsed. And that was about the last we heard of Rick Barry on that one. So here we go, folks. We've got it all balled up. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil in there. We're going to plop that back in. We're going to cover it, and we're going to let it sit for about an hour, and then we'll be back when that's ready to punch down. Alright folks, we're back. We're popping the lid again. We've risen and doubled in size again. Going to make sure we get enough flour down. Plopping that baby out. There you go. Now, we're going to cut it right in two. Because this is made for 2 pizzas, folks. So we're going to get one little nice pizza here. And another one. Now, if you think one pizza is good for your family, you can always take one of these beauties, throw it in a nice plastic bag, and throw it in your freezer and use it again at another time. But in our house, we have a 17-year-old, and he's going to at least eat 1 to 1.5 of these, so we got to cook them both. But there's your dough. You can use this dough. Like I said, you can freeze it and use it. You can bake it in the oven. If you want to use it on the grill for your grilled pizza, you can do that too. All you got to do is roll these babies out. They're nice and pliable. We can stretch that any way we want for our nice little pizza. You play with it, get it to your shape and size. And I guess we're done with the dough. Now, again, the greatest basketball player that ever lived, was Bill Russell. And in honor of the greatest coach and president of basketball that ever lived, Red, we're lighting one because victory is at hand. We'll see you again. Enjoy your pizza. Okay, folks, we showed you how to make grilled pizza. Now we showed you how to make the dough for it. This one we baked in the oven. You get a nice crust, nice and ready to roll. We're going to slice that in a couple of minutes, piping hot. That's what you get when you follow that dough recipe. Put your own toppings on. We just have a little bit of mozzarella, a little bit of cheddar, and a little bit of onion on this pizza. You can put whatever you want on it. It's pizza. Put what you like. So here you go. Mangia. Have some pizza, watch the game, and root the Celtics on.
Me, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore.